What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. Chris Pennell here, breaking down the Coke 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the best weekend in motorsports. We have F1, we have the Indy 500, then we end it with a night race in Charlotte for the Coke 600, which should be a good one. The next gen era has produced some pretty good racing for these Coke 600s, although last year I was mad at NASCAR for a long time. I'm still recovering. They called the race just over halfway due to humidity. They couldn't get the track fully dry. I think they just wanted to go home. So hopefully we get a nice full race in. Although I've been peeking at the radar this weekend and I have seen rain here and there. It goes away, it comes back. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but let's just hope for a full 600 miles. But anyway, if you're new here, what's up? My name is Chris Pennell. I break down NASCAR DFS each and every single week on this channel. Videos on Saturdays, live streams on Sunday. Going to be around Sunday evening this time around since we have a 6 p.m.-ish lock. So be there, be square, should be a good time. If you do end up enjoying today's video, make sure you like down below, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. Let's dive right into it. All right, let's talk some strategy here for Charlotte. Now, it is a 1.5 mile track, and I always say the same thing where we always have the same builds, 1 to 2 dominators, and then we'll see what kind of place differential plays we have. And while it's going to be somewhat similar, I think we need to bump that up to at least 2 dominators instead of 1. We'll have to see what qualifying ends up looking like. Of course, if we have just one guy, we think we can dominate majority of the early portion of the race. Then we have a bunch of PD plays that can probably be contenders by the end or halfway. Then sure, that can dictate our builds in a different way. But if I'm just picturing a normal qualifying session in my head, I would say at least 2 dominators because we have 400 laps this weekend. That's the same amount as Martinsville. And what do I say at Martinsville? Dominators, dominators, dominators. So we need to get those dominator points in our lineups because there is too many out there to just completely ignore this weekend. And looking at our figure this week, it's going to be the only one that we end up looking at because I think it's the most important. But it's basically just the intermediates we have had this year, and they're running the same tires they have been the previous week at Kansas, and they just kind of keep adding on to it. So we have Kansas, Texas, Las Vegas, Darlington. I might be missing Las Vegas, whatever the number is. It's a 5 race sample size. So we're looking at basically just the average running position, the average drive rating. If you're in the top right, that means you're pretty good. William Byron at the top of the list. Cal Larson, that should be surprising to who? No one. Ryan Blaney's up there as well. Although I always want to mention his average running position looks a little bit worse than what it should be just because he tends to qualify very poorly. Then he has to drive his way to the front, but he does drive his way to the front. Arguably has been the best driver this season just because of how good he has been in traffic and very late in runs. Then we also have Tyler Reddick up there, Joey Logano. The Fords have showed a lot of speed this year. So when Next Gen started, like the first couple of seasons of that, Ford really struggled at these larger intermediate tracks, but they've been gaining a lot of speed, especially this season, because you can see Blaney up there. You see Logano. Cindric's also been really good. Chris Buescher, Ryan Preece, Josh Berry, another guy that I have been extremely impressed with. And we've seen a couple others kind of take a step back. So I've been pretty impressed with the Fords, and maybe with this being a nighttime race, that could aid into their favor as well. But yeah, I mean, I'd be very shocked if we don't see, one of these guys that are in the top right quadrant to end up winning. Kyle Larson, of course, being the big favorite. And finally, moving on to the driver by driver breakdown. But I do have to mention one thing first. It's a free video, guys. You gotta let me do my plugs and feed the dog. But if you guys want to join the best NASCAR DFS community out there, and I do cover baseball each and every single day in a similar fashion, links down in the description or the pinned comment for the Patreon. And if you are a new user, you can sign up completely free for a week and test drive all the tools that I have to offer, so there is absolutely no reason not to, unless you just don't like me, which is fair. And I would not mention everything on here because I want to bore you to death, but if you want to pause, take a screenshot to see everything that I have on here, be my guest. But you will not find this amount of data or all these kind of tools for this price tag anywhere else, and I put a ton of time into this. Each and every single weekend, I cover trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. And we have 3 races this weekend, so tons of data, tons of content coming out. Also have the optimizer for DraftKings and FanDuel in-house, and also have the DraftKings simulator for whatever kind of contest you were in, whether it be cash games, small field tournaments, or large field GPPs. You can simulate up to 10,000 laps at once, see which drivers offer the best ROI before the race starts, which lineups stack up the best in tournaments. If you want to come in, check it out, be my guest. I'd love to have you. If not, that's fine, but let's dive right into it. All right, it's the next day. Practice and qualifying just concluded, and tons of practice data, and we had qualifying, which, as you can see, the mid-range is absolutely loaded with place differential plays, a lot of the same characters we see every single weekend. But let's head over to the practice results here and just do a brief overview of practice. So I do want to mention one thing, and that is they practiced around 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Eastern. The race is going to be like at 6:30 to 10 p.m. or later, depending on how many cautions there happens to be. Same track conditions are going to be a little different, so I don't know how much you want to get married to practice, but we're going to look at it either way. You're going to see zeros here from Kyle Busch. He did not end up making any laps. He had an issue. They were working under the hood the entire time. Fortunately enough, he did make a qualifying lap, but other than that, we have no practice data from him. So we're going to look over to the lap by lap data here. And as I always say, we do have the lap averages here, just if you average every single lap. And it does exclude like crazy numbers. Like you see a 568 here. We're not including that in the data because that's obviously not a good representation of what their lap times actually are. But the way I rank it, we kind of rank just up their best raw 1, 3, 5, 10, and lap averages overall. We kind of put that into one formula here, and this is what we get. So we're going to exclude Kyle Busch. We have Carson Hocevar, who we all know Spire. The Saturday Superstars, he did have an issue in his qualifying lap, so he'll be starting deep in the field, which, thank goodness. I hate when Hocevar or any of the Spire cars qualify up front because it's just pretty much a trap every single time. Ross Chastain was also blazing fast before he had his issue, ended up having a tire go down, and maybe that's one of the reasons why he was so fast in practice is because they were pushing the limits a little bit too much, so another thing you can look into. But he'll be starting in the very, very back. AJ Allmendinger was very quick as well. Tyler Reddick. I was really impressed watching Tyler Reddick in practice. There was a point during the session where he was having to pass several good cars. I know Ryan Blaney was one of them. I think Chase Elliott, and I can't remember the other two. It might have been William Byron, if I remember correctly, but he was looking really good at the top. Kind of got into the wall in qualifying, which slowed him down a little bit, but I think his car looks really good. Byron was up there, Ty Gibbs. Once again, some of the guys that maybe we didn't expect to be at the very bottom, just kind of taking a glance. Always seems like Joey Logano's at the very bottom of this. Josh Berry usually doesn't practice too well with them. They're much faster in the race. I'm not going to be overly concerned. Ryan Preece, another guy that just always tends to have bad practice numbers. Ryan Blaney kind of mid as well, but I do expect them to be better during the race. But let's go driver by driver here. We're going to break it all down. We'll start with the 5-figure range first. We have 2 drivers in the $11,000 range and then 4 in the 10K range. So lots of guys in this 5-figure range this weekend, 6 to be exact. Now we can kind of group these into 2 almost. We have the place differential hybrid plays of Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, and you can also throw in Christopher Bell. But just kind of eyeballing this, I feel like Christopher Bell might end up just being my least favorite based off of what we've seen at these types of tracks this year. I know he won this race last year, but let's not forget it was the Coke 312 and we did not run all 600 miles. And then we have the 200 cars starting at the very front, Kyle Larson and William Byron. Kyle Larson's going to be the talk of the town this week. He's doing the Indy double, and Jeff Gordon and their team has just stated many times after Motorsports that Kyle Larson's goal this weekend is the Coke 600. That is their main priority. And obviously we do have some weather situations potentially for the Coke 600, so we'll see how things end up playing out. But if you're just looking for 2 early dominators or just race winning contenders, you got to love Kyle Larson and William Byron. These guys have absolutely crushed these tracks this year. They've been some of the fastest drivers overall. Green flag speed-wise, Kyle Larson is at the very top at these intermediates. Then William Byron, I believe, is either second or third. I think he's third behind Ryan. I posted a graphic on my Twitter earlier this week, and I believe it was Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, and then William Byron. I mean, Byron just qualifies well every single time, and he just tends to run up front unless he ends up having an issue. If we're looking at his numbers at these intermediates this year, it's 5 race sample size, and this is the tire that they're using this weekend. William Byron with the best average running position. Kyle Larson's right up there with them. The 2 best driver ratings, multiple top 5s, and the most dominator points. I mean, I don't really see any reason not to like William Byron or Kyle Larson. And it looks like Kyle Larson will not have to go to the rear this weekend since I believe he shouldn't be missing anything. So just make sure he does not end up going to the rear. But I think we're going to be good to go. And if that's going to be the case, I mean, these are your 2 best dominator plays that cost a ton of money. Then Denny Hamlin, he's like a hybrid potential race winning contender, and then same with Ryan Blaney. Although due to the price tag and from what we've seen this year at similar tracks, I'm going to prefer Ryan Blaney as of right now over Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin had a heck of a Q lap, just was having a lot of issues in his car, and Penske and Ford in general just did not look that great in practice or qualifying, but I have to assume they're going to be much better during the race. I mean, Blaney has just been so quick this year in this tire. He's actually tied for the most top 5s with Kyle Larson's, and honestly, he'd probably be in the top 5 every single race if it wasn't for either a DNF, whether it be due to getting wrecked out at Las Vegas or just engine issues like we saw at Homestead, and I forget the other track So love Ryan Blaney, love the 200 cars. Those are probably my favorite. And then also really like Tyler Reddick. He's been really good at Charlotte. He actually has the best average finish in the next gen era here. Some dominator points, been in the top 10 every single race. I think he'll definitely be a contender. So maybe the ones I'm lowest on, I guess. Just eyeballing it because I have not yet run projections. I'll be in the Patreon later this evening. And we'll discuss on the live stream, obviously. But I think maybe the 2 JGR cars here might be my least favorite. But we'll have to see what projections say. But I feel like they might agree. 9K range, it's not big. There's only 3 drivers here. I think there's one standout. It's Ross Chastain. If you are playing cash games, you have to play him. I mean, if he sucks, it won't matter because everyone's going to play him. And if he goes off, you're going to absolutely need him in your lineup. 3 sample size here at Charlotte in the next gen. Average running position of 10th. Average finish to 15th. If he finishes 15th, starting in 40th, you'll be pretty happy with that result. And then so far this season, in this 5 race sample size, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. I mean, he's starting in 40th. You have to play him. Elliott and Logano, they do offer some PD, but they are going to get overshadowed by Ross. So if you're just trying to get off of ownership, they are playable. They've both been pretty much borderline top 10 cars at these tracks this year. Like, I'm okay with them, but I feel like Ross offers very similar finishing position upside. And I mean, he just starts as far back as it gets. So I'm not saying I don't like Chase and Logano. I'm just saying they're not going to even be close in projection to Ross. Then we dip to the 8K range, and Kyle Busch is the only one that offers place differential upside. The only issue is we don't know how good the car is going to be. I mean, he put it down a qualifying lap, but we have 0 practice data to work with. If we look at his numbers at intermediates this year, it's not like he's been great. Typically right around 20th place, although sometimes he just tends to get screwed. And I think he probably does run better than 20th place. I think he can be a top 15 guy. But I don't know. I just don't think there's a ton of upside here. Has been good at Charlotte in the next scenario, though. 7.7 average finish. 3 top 15s, 2 top 10s with the top 5. I mean, the finishes have been there, but he's always a tough driver to trust. But of this group, he definitely has the best floor. But once again, for $200 more, I can get Ross. And there's no downside with Ross because there's only spots that go up. I mean, Kyle Busch, in theory, could lose up to 16 spots if he wanted. And I'm sure he'd find a way to do that if he wants to. All right, so now we have just pure tournament plays here. Chris Buescher is going to be starting in 4th. I think he will be quick, but man, when you're starting in 4th, there's just not a lot of room for any errors here. You have to pretty much be perfect, and I don't think that's going to be easy to do. He's in the Dom GPP pool. That's about it. I mean, for $200 less, I can get Chase Briscoe in the pool, and I feel a little bit more comfortable with that just because you have easier access to dominator points. Like Chris Buescher is going to have to beat out William Byron, Cal Larson, and Chase Briscoe at the beginning of the race. And if he does not do that, I mean, he just probably ends up fading back. Chase Briscoe at least is in the catbird seat to lead some laps, but I do think he'll probably get overshadowed by the 200 cars eventually. But I think Chase Briscoe can definitely lead some laps at some point. I'm not sure if he'll be a cash play. We'll have to see how much my projections like him to dominate. But $8,400, like, let's just say he led a good chunk of stage 1 and doesn't die during the race. I mean, he's in a JGR car. He's cheap. I mean, he just have the ability to do this. So I would not cross him out of your pool, even though it just feels weird having him start on the pole here. Ty Gibbs and Alex Bowman look like very similar plays. Although based off of what we've seen this year, I would probably have to prefer Alex Bowman. He has just been straight money at these intermediates. He's been one of the fastest drivers, green flag speed-wise, at similar tracks. And if you're looking at Charlotte specifically, Alex Bowman's been in the top 10 every single time since 2022. And Bowman's been really strong this year. And Ty Gibbs has been one of the tougher drivers to trust. So I don't think their projections will sway too much, but I definitely, in my own personal feelings, am going to side with Alex Bowman here. 7K range, Josh Berry. Him and Ryan Blaney have just been so good at these intermediate tracks this year, being really strong in the long run. Now, if you're looking at practice, you're going to see 32nd and 36. I'm not going to let that concern me too much. From what we've seen out of Berry this year, he's indicated that he can definitely be a top 15 driver, but also a top 10 and top 5 driver at times. So I think he's a nice tournament play because if you're looking in the 7K range, you have Brad Keselowski starting in 35th, Bubba Wallace in 32nd, Hocevar in 39th, and then Ryan Preece in 28th. Those are going to be your chalky cash plays, and you can't play everybody. So naturally, the ones with less place differential are going to get overlooked, and that's going to be Josh Berry and Austin Cindric, who's also been good at these track types this year, but I do prefer Berry with the 4 extra PD spots. And I'm not going to go too in-depth on these place differential drivers. They're all awesome plays. Play Keselowski. I mean, I understand if you don't want to play Brad Keselowski because he just wrecks every single week. He does the same thing every weekend. He's going to start in the 30s. He's going to drive his way to the front. And then by the end of the race, he's going to finish in the back because of an issue. And would that surprise me if it happens again? No. But he did look pretty good in practice. I just have to play him. I mean, the practice times are there. He's been fast. It's just you know, sometimes guys get screwed. The same thing happened to Ryan Blaney earlier in the season. You just got to keep playing him, and eventually it's going to end up paying off. So, I mean, I got to play him again. He almost won this race last year. He was really close to passing Christopher Bell before the red flag for rain, and they ended up calling the race. So Wallace, just a typical top 10, top 15 contender of these track types. He's in the 30s. You play him. Hocevar, super fast, although Spire are always going to be the Saturday superstars. But when you're starting pretty much dead last, you can only move up. And then Ryan Preece, another guy who he's not going to probably be as owned as Hocevar, Wallace, or Keselowski, just because he has a 2 in front of his name instead of the 3, which everyone loves. So Priest, Barry, Cindric are the tournament plays, but have a preference towards Priest and Josh Berry. The 6K range just looks extremely boring to me. I mean, the guys I would play are Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, but nothing really stands out. Like when things go well for them, they can run top 20, but when things just don't go great, I mean, these guys, any of these 3 drivers could end up in outside of the top 30. I mean, they're okay. I mean, you just mix and match them. I have no standout plays here. Connor Zilic might get some ownership just because of who he is, and people are excited to play him. He's in a Trackhouse car. He's starting 33rd. I mean, the practice times don't entice me very much. We're looking at the practice results page here. We have, Zilic in the 34s for the rankings. Didn't really show much speed. If you're looking at the consecutive lap averages, Connor 36th, 30th, pretty much just straight 30s here until the 20. But don't forget, less guys run that. And I do want to mention, like when you see William Byron here, line fit 7th, and there's just a complete drop off of 28th and 21st. I'll get questions like, are you concerned about William Byron's long run speed? That's the problem with looking at consecutive lap averages, because, if a guy just pulls over out like right before we get to the 15 lap mark, it's just going to completely skew his numbers. And if we look at William Byron here, if we look at his actual lap times, as you're going to see, lap 13, he brings it in. That just kills it. So, I mean, don't be too concerned when you see things like that. Like if there's just a super steep drop off, I mean, you have to probably think of the context of where probably just had a bad lap or brought it in super slow, and that's what happens. 5K range also does not look too appealing here. Todd Gillen does offer the place differentials, so I'm assuming he will be the one that ends up projecting the best. Other than that, do you really want to play Cole Custer? Do you want to play SVG? SVG had speed in practice, but I just can't trust him at an oval. He's just been absolutely horrendous. Nemechek's in 6th. That's unplayable. Justin Haley in 13th. Like Haley's a guy that can probably hang around the top 15. If I was going to play one of these drivers that starts in the top 20, it's probably Justin Haley. But that's it. Ty Dillon starting a bit high for me. I know he's shown the capability of running in the top 20-ish this year. I don't want to completely rule out any of these drivers besides really just Nemechek and Jimmy Johnson personally. Zane Smith, I mean, the front row drivers of Ty Dillon and Zane Smith look all right. Outside of that, it's Haley and Ty Dillon if you just think they can kind of hang on to that top 15, but it is unlikely. And the 4K range is trash. Cody Ware, slow. Balicki, slow. And then Derek Krause is also slow. So try not to play the 4K range. Hopefully optimizers don't try to push them so you can jam in a bunch of dominators. If they do, I probably would maybe just X them out because I just don't see those builds working out too well. But with that being said, that's all I got for you guys this week. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, or even if you didn't, make sure you like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or check out the Patreon and all the extra content over there. Links down in the description or the pinned comment for that. Hopefully I'll see you in the live stream tomorrow afternoon or evening, I should say. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you all next time.